The level of violence perpetrated against African foreign nationals in this country over the past few months has a face. We know who the instigators and the perpetrators of this violent act are. Why have the perpetrators of this violence not been arrested and prosecuted? What is even worse, the two of them came to meet with you. You should have locked them up that day when they came to meet you. Thank you very much, Speaker and Mr. President. The level of violence perpetrated against African foreign nationals in this country over the past few months has a face. We know who the instigators and the perpetrators of this violent act are. In certain instances, we have seen perpetrators unleashing their violence against African immigrants in the presence of the police, and yet no one of these perpetrators and instigators is arrested. This gives an impression that this violence is in fact a state-sanctioned violence against African nationals. This hardens the attitudes of our sisters nations in the continent, because to them and to many of us, these are not isolated actions of vigilante groups, but rather actions aided by the state. Why have the perpetrators of this violence not been arrested and prosecuted? What is even worse, the two of them came to meet with you. You should have locked them up that day when they came to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Malema. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for that question, Honorable Malema. The issue of the instigators of this violent actions that have been taken against people from other countries is a matter that is being processed. The police have informed us, and all security apparatus have informed us that they are following all that up. They are getting all the reports and evidence. A number of other people have been arrested, and of course, those others who were seen to be leading these processes are also people who are of interest, of direct interest to the police, and that is a process that is going to be followed up. We are obviously concerned about the actions that have been taken against many Africans in our country, and we have made it clear that those who violate the law, those who transgress the various precepts of our laws, need to be dealt with. And in a number of cases where, for instance, incidents of violence have even resulted into injury, into death, we are going to be following all that up and ensuring indeed that those who have perpetrated those acts are followed up, and there will be arrests, and there will be charges that will be preferred against those who have done so. So that is a process which the police, the prosecuting authority, is going to be following up without any doubt. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Speaker and President. Mr. President, there is no doubt that this has caused so much damage to South Africa's relations with our sister African nation, who view this as a state-aided violence. What concrete steps is your government taking to ensure prosecution to protect foreign nationals living in South Africa and to reassure the continent that this government does not condone xenophobia. And to an extent that you can commit to a timeline on how, by when, and how are you going to act on those perpetrators?
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The commitment I can make is that those who are perpetrating and have perpetrated acts of violence against foreign nationals are going to be dealt with. The police and the prosecuting authorities have been given the responsibility to make sure that anyone who commits criminal activity in our country are followed up and they are brought to book. That, in terms of our adherence to rule of law, is exactly what we expect to happen and will happen. A timeline I would ordinarily like to give, but it really depends on the speed and the determination with which they shall work that will determine precisely the timeline. This is a very sensitive matter, and our neighbors and our fellow African heads of state and government, and indeed their citizens, are looking at South Africa, how we manage this process. And it is on the basis of that that they will be able to see our seriousness in terms of dealing with the issue of migration. And we have said that the rule of law must apply, and those who have done wrong or continue to do wrong must be dealt with. And that is what we have said to them, and a number of them have said, we understand, complex as this issue might be. So we are processing that in that manner. And it's been interesting, as we have also found, that there have been activities that we have observed by a number of forces outside our country that have been bringing to bear their influence in this whole process. Those foreign or sister countries on the continent have realized that, and they have said, we know and we can see that quite a bit of this, certainly not all of it, but quite a bit of this is being propelled and instigated from outside of South Africa. And we have said that's precisely what we are following up as well. We are following those threads and those threats as well. So it's a complex problem. It's a multifaceted problem, but we are at work and working it through and deciphering precisely the various roles that have been played by our own people, as well as those we perceive to be outsiders who want to disturb the stability in South Africa by getting South Africans to seem to be at war with Africans from other nations. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. President, March and March's campaign may have cast a spotlight on the issue of illegal migration, but the presidency and DIRCO have failed to address the root cause of the decades-long influx of cross-border travel to our country, the dictatorial and oppressive regimes that plague many of our neighboring states and deprive their citizens of freedom and opportunity. We cannot keep using respect for state sovereignty as a convenient excuse not to address brutal dictatorships next door. This matter remains diplomatically sensitive, but it can no longer be ignored or brushed aside. When will you take seriously and actively address the backslide of democracy in our region and the growing threat of authoritarianism and state collapse that is placing the burden of mass migration on South Africa's doorstep?
Thank you, Honorable President.
Honorable Speaker, we have in our analysis of the reasons why people throng to our country addressed the issue of South Africa being seen to be an economic oasis, and the fact that being this economic oasis that people see and perceive that they can get a better life from South Africa as the one that has attracted a number of people to our country. Now, what makes people leave their own countries is given rise to by a variety of reasons. People either leave because they feel that their lives are in danger. They are refugees seeking security elsewhere. They either leave because their economic situations are dire and want to come to better locations where they can advance their economic challenges. And they leave for many other reasons. What we have to be mindful of is that we need to advance the interests of South Africans. And that is why we've taken the steps that we have taken to make sure that those who are in our country are properly documented. They have the necessary papers that puts them here, and that employers who employ people who are not documented needs to be dealt with in terms of our laws. The processes that ensue in various other countries in terms of their governance is a matter that the citizens of those countries are firmly the owners of and the drivers of. And we respect the sovereignty of other countries. And as we respect their sovereignty, we want them to respect our own sovereignty. So we will deal with other countries with respect. We will deal with other countries with recognition of what they are and what they stand for. And we will act in tandem with regional bodies that take views and positions on various activities that take place in various countries. Where there are challenges in other countries, it is the regional bodies that will take a firm view of what needs to be done. As we have done in even the recent past, where there have been challenges in a number of our neighbors. Lesotho is one case in point, Mozambique is another case in point, and DRC is another case in point, and even Zimbabwe has been a case in point. So, and now Madagascar. So we act in accordance with the decisions of our region. We are not lone rangers. We know that we belong to a community of nations, and even as we address the issue of migration, we have made it a point that we need to address it collectively. And we are very pleased that that approach has been well accepted and well embraced, and we will, and we have taken a view that that is what we need to do going forward. So we are a product of our region, we are a member of our region, and we must act in unison with our region. South Africa remains a respected member of the African community of nations and a principled Pan-African actor. We continue to participate actively in continental as well as regional bodies and processes. While some African countries have raised concerns about the anti-migrant actions by some groups in our country, as a government, we have firmly and publicly rejected xenophobia, Afrophobia, vigilantism, and all forms of discrimination against people from other countries. At the regional and continental level, we have reinforced South Africa's commitment to Pan-Africanism through cooperation with SADC, the African Union, and partner states on migration, governance, regional integration, and burden sharing. We've had direct engagements with a number of heads of state and government to explain our position and our approach. Last week, at the 46th Ordinary SADC Summit that we hosted in eThekwini, we took the opportunity to brief the leaders of the region on the situation in the country. And this we did without being asked either to account or to explain. We took it upon ourselves to put the matter on the agenda, and I also addressed it in my inputs, and we explained precisely what the situation had been in our country. In its communique, the summit called for a coordinated and multi-dimensional dialogue at the regional level to address the underlying drivers of migration and develop comprehensive, sustainable, and effective responses. Now, through our comprehensive approach to managing migration, we have emphasized that migration challenges must be addressed through the rule of law, respect for human dignity, and the strengthening of state institutions, not through unlawful actions targeting foreign nationals. An important part of this approach is the reform and modernization of South Africa's migration governance framework. And this includes strengthening border management, addressing corruption within the immigration system, improving legal migration pathways, and implementing the white paper on citizenship, migration, and refugee protection. Now, these measures are intended to enhance public confidence in the state's ability to manage migration effectively while upholding South Africa's constitutional and international obligations. Our country continues to advocate for collective African solutions to the drivers of migration, while engaging diplomatically to address concerns about developments in the country. Our Minister of International Relations and International Cooperation has traveled to a number of countries as my envoy to meet a number of states and heads of states and heads of government. And at times it has been quite challenging to synchronize the diaries of all the heads of states. He was well received in Ghana. He was well received in other countries. We've had discussions even at my level with various heads of states who have articulated their deep understanding for what has been happening here. And they have wished us well, and they have said that they are willing and able to support South Africa as it deals with this difficult problem. And they have also characterized it as a complex problem, meaning that there is deep understanding of the challenges we're going through. While other people might have thought that we are being snubbed and we are being isolated, actually the contrary has been the case. As we have sat down to explain precisely the challenges that we are going through, we have found, to our pleasant appreciation, that there is understanding and there is support, and a number of countries are saying they're willing to work with us to have this problem resolved. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable President.